All right. Welcome, everyone. You guys have really sent us down quite a rabbit hole this week with all the sources you shared.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff.
It really has us thinking, like what actually makes us smarter and how can we get better at, well, pretty much anything.
Exactly. Like all those articles and studies you found, it's like they're questioning everything we think we know about learning.
Yeah, especially about whether it's more about like raw talent or just diving deep into a specific area. Like, how important is that specialized knowledge anyway?
Right, right.
So, for this deep dive, we really want to unpack all of this, get to the heart of what these sources are actually saying about how we become experts, how we learn new things, and, well, hopefully give you a new way of thinking about your own learning journey.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in. One of the first things that caught our attention was this paper by Tricot and Sweller, Domain-Specific Knowledge and Why Teaching Generic Skills Does Not Work. I mean, the title alone, that's pretty bold, right?
It is. They're not messing around. Basically, they're saying that if you want to be good at something, like actually be able to do it, then what matters most is knowledge that's specific to that area, that domain. They're not so convinced about these general skills that are supposed to apply everywhere.
Yeah, so forget learning to learn. They're saying it's all about the details, the specifics.
Exactly.
And they define this domain-specific knowledge as like memorized information that allows you to perform tasks,
Yeah.
right? So it's not just knowing about something in a general way.
It's about having the exact information you need to actually get things done. They
Exactly.
use the example of Pythagoras' theorem. Everyone remembers that, right?
Yeah.
A plus B, pi c5.
Oh, yeah, good times.
But they say it's not enough to just memorize the formula.
Right.
You have to know when to use it, how to apply it to a specific problem in geometry.
So it's not just about the formula itself. It's about understanding how it fits into the bigger picture of solving those types of problems.
Exactly. The formula plus the knowing when and how to use it, that's domain-specific knowledge.
Got it. So they're basically saying that if you want to be good at problem solving, let's say in physics, it's not about developing this general problem-solving ability.
Right.
It's about having this huge library of physics knowledge in your head, like all the different types of problems and the ways to solve them.
Exactly. It's all about that deep, specific knowledge.
They even talk about these so-called domain general skills, like trying to remember a similar problem to help you solve a new one.
Hmm.
But they suggest that these might be so basic, so ingrained in us, that we probably already have them just from living our lives.
Right. They're like, these skills are probably more about how our brains are wired than something we can really teach.
Interesting. And this ties in really well with Geary's idea of biologically primary versus secondary knowledge, right?
Absolutely. It's like a perfect fit.
So can you break that down for us a bit?
Sure. Geary says that humans, over, millions of years of evolution, we've become really good at learning certain things effortlessly.
Like without even trying.
Yeah, it's like our brains are pre-programmed for it. He calls this biologically primary knowledge.
Okay.
Think about things like learning to speak your native language, recognizing faces, just by seeing them,
Right.
having a basic sense of numbers,
Hmm.
or even figuring out how to get what you want, like that basic problem solving.
Like figuring out how to open a jar or something.
Exactly. That's called means-ends analysis. You identify the goal, what you want, then you figure out the steps to get there. We do this all the time without even thinking about it.
It's like we're hardwired for that stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you have biologically secondary knowledge.
Okay, what's that?
This is stuff that's important for our culture, but we haven't necessarily evolved to learn easily. Things like reading, writing, advanced math.
Oh, so basically most of what we learn in school.
Exactly. This stuff takes real effort, deliberate practice, and usually, a good teacher to guide you.
So if we think back to Tricot and Sweller's point about domain general skills.
All right.
It seems like Geary's framework supports their idea. If these general skills are part of this biologically primary knowledge, stuff we're already born with,
It makes sense that we can't really teach them in a way that makes us better at everything.
like you can't just teach someone how to think and expect them to suddenly ace every subject.
Exactly. The research on that is pretty weak. There's not much evidence that teaching these general strategies actually helps people in completely unrelated areas.
But even though we can't really teach these primary skills,
Right.
they're still super important for learning all that other stuff, the secondary knowledge, right?
Absolutely. They're like the foundation.
Okay, I see what you mean.
It's like you might naturally try to find similarities between problems to solve them, which is a general skill,
Hmm.
but you still need specific knowledge about the subject to actually solve the problem.
Like, I might be able to figure out how to use a new smartphone app because I'm good at figuring things out in general,
Right.
but I still need to understand the specific features of that app.
Exactly. And good teachers can help us apply these natural skills to learn new things more effectively.
So it's not about teaching the skills themselves, it's about showing students how to use them in specific context.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And this whole idea that expertise is about building up this huge amount of specific knowledge.
Mm.
It reminds me of the discussion about Binet and his work with those amazing mental calculators and chess players.
Oh, yeah. That's fascinating stuff. He was really trying to understand what made them so good.
It seems like he was initially looking for some kind of innate talent or ability.
Yeah, at first he thought their abilities were mostly due to natural gifts.
But now looking back, it seems like he might have underestimated how important their specific knowledge was.
Yeah, he didn't fully appreciate the sheer amount of knowledge they had accumulated in their respective domains.
There's that example of Mozart, the one where he perfectly transcribed Allegri's Miserere after hearing it only once.
Right.
Then he saw that as proof of some extraordinary inborn musical memory. But if you think about it, someone with a deep understanding of music,
Like Mozart was.
exactly, they probably wouldn't find that task as difficult as it seems.
It might even be pretty routine for them.
Right, because they have all this background knowledge about music, about how it works.
Exactly.
So it wasn't just Mozart's amazing memory, it was also his incredible knowledge of music that allowed him to do that.
It's like anything else. The more you know about something, the easier it is to understand and remember new information related to it.
And it took a while for the field to really shift away from that focus on innate talent, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It wasn't until Erickson came along and started emphasizing the role of deliberate practice and this domain-specific knowledge.
Right. He showed that even seemingly exceptional memory skills were based on learned techniques and strategies that were specific to the type of information being memorized.
And this really changed how we think about intelligence itself, right?
Absolutely. Binet's early work, while groundbreaking, kind of reinforced this idea that intelligence was this fixed trait you're born with.
Yeah, like you're either smart or you're not.
Right. But later research, like the study by Kahan and Cohen, showed that schooling had a much bigger impact on intelligence scores than just getting older.
You mean the one where they found that an extra year of school was like twice as impactful as an extra year of age?
Exactly. And other studies looking at things like school reforms had similar findings. More time spent learning seemed to lead to higher intelligence scores.
So our intelligence isn't just this set thing we're born with. It's something we can actually develop through learning and experience.
It really makes you rethink the whole concept of intelligence. It suggests that what we call intelligence might just be a reflection of the knowledge we've accumulated.
And this could even explain things like the Flynn effect, right?
Yeah, the fact that intelligence scores have been rising over time.
If intelligence is about the knowledge we have, then it makes sense that scores would go up as we learn more as a society.
Especially as the type of knowledge that's emphasized in education and in our culture changes over time.
So it seems like everywhere we look, this domain-specific knowledge keeps popping up as the real key to our cognitive abilities.
It really does.
And it's not just about complex things like chess or physics. It even seems to affect something as basic as our short-term memory.
Right. Remember Miller's magical number 7?
Oh yeah, the idea that we can only hold about 7 things in our minds at once.
Exactly. But even Miller himself noticed exceptions to this rule.
Like people with absolute pitch, right? They can remember way more tones than that.
Exactly. And now we understand that their expertise in music, their deep knowledge of pitch and tones,
Allows them to process information differently, to go beyond those supposed limits of short-term memory.
it's like their knowledge of music is giving their working memory a boost.
So it's not just about how much our brains can hold. It's also about what we already know about the information we're trying to remember.
Right. The more we know, the more we can hold in mind, the better we can understand and remember new things.
This also makes me think about Piaget and his stage theory of cognitive development.
Oh, yeah. Remember those stages?
Yeah.
Sensorimotor, preoperational, concrete operational, formal operational.
Vaguely, yeah. Wasn't it all about how our logical thinking develops?
Right. He thought kids go through these stages in a set order. and that their logical thinking develops across all areas at the same time.
But it turns out that's not quite right, is it?
No. Research shows that kids can understand certain concepts in some areas before others. Like, they might get conservation of number before conservation of mass.
So it's not just about this general logical ability developing at a set pace.
Right. It seems like it might be more about learning specific concepts within different domains.
Like learning about numbers is different from learning about math, even though both involve logical thinking.
Exactly. And this was especially clear with Piaget's last stage, formal operational thought, where people are supposed to be able to think abstractly and test hypotheses scientifically.
Right, like real scientists.
But it turned out that a lot of adults who seemed perfectly capable didn't actually reach this stage when tested with general scientific tasks. So Piaget eventually admitted that formal operational thought might actually be tied to a person's knowledge and experience in a specific area.
Like, you might be great at scientific reasoning in biology, because you know a lot about biology,
Right.
but maybe not so great at it in physics if you haven't studied physics.
Exactly.
So even logical reasoning itself might not be this general ability. It might be more domain-specific.
It's like our ability to think logically depends on the knowledge we have in a specific area.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And when you look at real experts in action, the power of this domain-specific knowledge becomes even more obvious.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Those examples of air traffic controllers and chess masters, those are really striking.
Yeah, they really highlight how important that deep, specific knowledge is.
So let's start with air traffic controllers. There was that early research that tried to see if they had some kind of superhuman ability to track lots of information at once.
Right, like maybe they were just really good at multitasking or something.
Yeah, but those studies didn't really find anything special.
They weren't really any better than the average person at those general tasks.
But then Bissaret did those studies where he looked at how controllers performed in situations that were directly relevant to their work.
Exactly, and that's when things got interesting.
What did he find?
Well, he found that as controllers got more experience, they got much better at remembering details about multiple airplanes.
Like, way better than Miller's magical number 7 would suggest.
Yeah, they were able to hold way more information in their minds at once.
Wow.
And the key seems to be their extensive knowledge of air traffic procedures, different types of planes, all that stuff.
So their specific knowledge was basically boosting their working memory capacity.
Exactly.
It's like their brains were making room for more information because they already knew so much about the context.
Right. It wasn't just about their general mental abilities. It was about their deep understanding of air traffic control.
Fascinating. And then there's all that research on chess expertise, starting with de Groot and then later with Chase and Simon.
Yeah, those studies were really groundbreaking. They helped us understand what really separates grandmasters from the rest of us.
It wasn't just about being smarter or thinking further ahead, was it?
No, not really.
De Groot found that chess masters had this incredible memory for board positions from real games.
Yeah, they could look at a board for a few seconds and then reconstruct it almost perfectly from memory.
Amazing.
But here's the thing. This only worked with real game positions. When the pieces were randomly placed on the board, their memory wasn't any better than a beginner's.
So it wasn't just about having a photographic memory. It was about recognizing patterns and relationships that they had learned through tons of experience.
Exactly. They had memorized thousands of board positions and the best moves associated with them.
Wow.
And this vast knowledge base seems to be the main reason why they're so good.
It's like they've got this huge mental library of chess knowledge that they can access instantly.
Exactly. And there's no evidence that they have some special general chess playing ability.
It's all about that specific knowledge.
Right. The more you know, the better you are.
And this idea that experts have better memory for problem states within their area of expertise, it seems to apply to other areas too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We see the same thing in fields like reading comprehension, engineering, computer programming, even algebra.
It seems like expertise in any complex area relies on having this deep, well-organized knowledge of the typical situations and the best responses.
It's like having a mental playbook for your field.
Exactly. And this brings us to Erikson's work on expertise theory.
All right, which really digs into how this domain-specific knowledge is acquired and refined.
Yeah, how do we actually become experts?
Well, Erikson started by studying people with seemingly amazing memory abilities, like those guys who can memorize decks of cards in seconds.
Oh yeah, those are mind-blowing.
And what he found was that these feats weren't just due to natural talent.
So it wasn't just that they were born with super memories.
No, it was about developing specific techniques and strategies tailored to the type of information they were memorizing.
So even memory champions are using specific skills and knowledge to achieve those amazing feats.
Exactly. They're not just relying on raw talent.
And his work on deliberate practice showed that becoming an expert takes years of focused effort with a specific goal in mind.
Right. You have to constantly push yourself beyond your comfort zone and actively seek out ways to improve.
And this takes time, right? Like that famous 10,000 hours rule.
Yeah, that's a good estimate. It takes about 10 years of deliberate practice to reach elite levels in most fields.
And during that time, you're building up this massive amount of domain-specific knowledge.
Right. You're constantly learning new things, refining your skills, and organizing your knowledge more effectively.
And this is where Erickson and Kinch's idea of long-term working memory comes in, right?
Exactly. It explains how experts can manage all that information.
It's like their working memory gets a boost from their long-term memory, so they can process more information more efficiently.
Right. It's like their brains are able to access relevant information from their long-term memory much faster and use it more effectively.
So the more you know about a subject, the more efficiently your working memory can function within that domain.
Exactly. And this makes a huge difference in how experts can solve problems and make decisions.
Okay, so how has all this research on expertise and domain-specific knowledge influenced the field of education?
Well, it's had a huge impact. Early work by Chi and her colleagues looked at how experts and novices solve physics problems.
Oh, right. I remember reading about that.
And they found some really interesting differences. Novices tend to categorize problems based on what they look like this problem has a ramp or this problem has a pulley.
Okay, so they focus on the surface features.
Right, but experts categorize problems based on the underlying physics principles involved.
So they see the deeper structure of the problem.
Exactly. They're not just looking at the surface details, they're understanding the core concepts at play.
And this understanding of how experts think about problems has led to new teaching methods, right?
Absolutely. We now try to help students develop that deeper level of understanding to organize their knowledge more like experts do.
So it's not just about memorizing facts, it's about connecting those facts to broader concepts and principles.
Exactly. And a study by Schneider and his colleagues involving soccer experts and novices further showed how important this deep knowledge is.
What did they find?
Well, they found that even people who weren't naturally gifted at soccer, but were experts in the game.
So people who had spent a lot of time playing and studying soccer.
Right. They actually outperformed people who were naturally talented but didn't have that deep knowledge.
So even if you're not a natural, you can still become very good at something if you develop that domain-specific knowledge.
Exactly. Knowledge trumps talent in many cases.
And that's really encouraging to hear.
It is. It means that anyone can achieve a high level of expertise if they're willing to put in the time and effort.
But it's interesting that the paper mentions there haven't been that many studies specifically looking at the best ways to teach students this crucial knowledge.
Yeah, that's true. We know that domain-specific knowledge is super important.
But we're still figuring out the most effective ways to help students acquire it.
Exactly. That's an area where more research is definitely needed.
Which brings us to cognitive load theory, which seems to be all about making sure instruction is designed to help students build this specific knowledge.
Yes, cognitive load theory is a really powerful framework for designing effective instruction.
And it all starts with understanding the limitations of our working memory, right?
Exactly. Our working memory is like the mental workspace where we process information.
And it's pretty limited, right? We can only hold so much in mind at once.
Right, and if we overload our working memory, it's hard to learn effectively.
So cognitive load theory tries to design instruction in a way that minimizes the strain on our working memory.
Exactly. It tries to make learning more efficient by presenting information in a clear, organized way.
And one of the key concepts is the worked example effect, right?
Yes, that's a big one. It shows that when students are first learning something new, it's actually more effective to study worked examples than to try solving problems on their own right away.
So instead of just giving them a problem and saying, figure it out,
Right.
you show them a problem and then walk them through the solution step by step.
Exactly. This helps to reduce the mental effort involved in figuring things out from scratch.
So like you're giving them a scaffold to support their learning.
Exactly. And this allows them to focus on understanding the key concepts and procedures involved.
But this effect actually reverses as students become more knowledgeable, right?
That's right. It's called the expertise reversal effect.
So once students have a good foundation, worked examples become less helpful.
Yeah, they can even become a hindrance because they're repeating information the student already knows.
And at that point, it's better to have them practice solving problems on their own.
Exactly. They need to challenge themselves and apply their knowledge in new situations.
So both of these effects, the worked example effect and the expertise reversal effect,
They really highlight the importance of understanding how domain-specific knowledge develops over time.
and cognitive load theory is all about designing instruction that takes this into account.
Right. It's about helping students build that deep, organized knowledge base that's essential for expertise.
Okay, so to sum everything up,
Mm-hmm.
the main takeaway from all these sources seems to be that expertise is primarily about the amount and organization of domain-specific knowledge we have in our long-term memory.
Exactly. It's not just about being smart or having some general learning ability.
It's about building up that deep, specific knowledge base through deliberate practice and effective instruction.
Right. And the reason we might have underestimated the importance of this knowledge in the past is because it's not something we're consciously aware of most of the time.
It's like this hidden engine that's driving our cognitive abilities.
Exactly. And it's also really hard to appreciate just how much knowledge experts actually have in their heads.
Yeah, it's easy to take their skills for granted, but they've spent years and years building up that expertise.
And I think we also tend to get distracted by the search for these magical general learning strategies.
Right, like the one weird trick to learn anything faster.
Exactly. But the research suggests that those truly powerful and widely applicable strategies are probably already built into our brains.
Like the ones Geary talked about, the biologically primary knowledge.
Right. So the real challenge for education is figuring out how to help students acquire all that other knowledge.
The biologically secondary, domain-specific knowledge.
Exactly. That's the stuff that really makes a difference in terms of expertise and achievement.
Well, this has been a truly mind-expanding deep dive.
I agree.
It really makes you think differently about how we learn and what it means to be an expert.
For sure.
So for you, our listener, we want to leave you with a question.
A challenge.
Think about a skill you've developed, something you're really good at.
It could be anything.
Playing an instrument, writing code, cooking, anything.
Right.
And ask yourself, how much of your ability comes from some natural talent you have?
Versus the specific knowledge and practice you've put in.
And how does this new perspective change how you think about learning new things in the future?
Or how you might help others learn.
Think about those examples we talked about. The chess masters, the air traffic controllers, the physics students.
And see if you can apply those insights to your own life and your own learning journey.
Hopefully, this deep dive has given you a new way of thinking about these complex ideas.
And maybe sparked some new interests for you to explore.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Until then, happy learning.